Everybody, welcome to Storm Talk. Way through news meteorologist Brian Good here on this Monday after Derby. It's always a tough day to get going, but at least the weather's nice, so hopefully that's putting everybody in a good mood and getting you going with the new week ahead. Temperatures. This is a snapshot of roughly about 7 o'clock this morning in Louisville, about 47 in the city. But North Vernon, right around 31. Carrollton, 32. Eminence, 34. 36 is usually the magic number for frost potential with these light winds. You can see the core of it was mainly north and northeast of Louisville's where those numbers and values are met. But I'm sure some of you in the suburbs got to that level, depending on how sheltered you were completely from the wind altogether. It wouldn't surprise me here, patchy frost. But it doesn't look to be a situation of a really hard killing frost kind of deal in the area. In fact, when you look at the month of May in general, you know, we've been as cold as the freezing mark, if not below it, but that was back in 1966. We did have a period of chilly weather in 2002 where we got to that frost potential mark in 2002 on the 22nd of May. And then the last time that I could find that we ever got to that point was 1961. So, which, by the way, happened to also match some of the records we had for Oaks Day on the chilliest Oaks Day we've had was 1961. So, will we see a repeat this year? Could we get another cold snap? Don't see any sign of it yet, but you know how things go. Around here, we've had some cool Mays, and in some cases, we've had, you know, as you all know, and even in this decade, we've had some Junes that have been relatively cool. We've had periods where it takes time to even get to that 90-degree mark. So we'll see how this plays out. Overall, I don't see anything that extreme. Looks to get mainly around average for a while, but that's something we'll be watching. Just thought that was interesting to point out. All right, right now, here's a look at the visible satellite from space. Not a cloud in the sky. Isn't that pretty out? When you look at the wider view, it's hard to see very well, so I'll turn on the infrared, and it's because there's nothing out there. Nice and quiet. A little batch of clouds in Iowa and Missouri. That is the actual warm front itself that is working its way in from the west and from the south overall. It's not here yet, and that's why things are nice and quiet, and we get another beautiful day today. Now, the question is, we got a lot of dry air. That's orange or the yellow shaded area, and browns. That's a dry air at play. So as long as that's here, we're fine. But the turquoise green color, it's the more humid air, and it is going to move with the front. So as the front moves in tonight and tomorrow, that's when we run the risk for not only cloud cover, but perhaps some showers and maybe even a rumble of thunder. It's just a matter of how quickly that arrives and how much moisture are we talking about. Overall, severe potential today is limited to a marginal risk in Iowa. Not a big deal. So what I'm going to do is going to take you through the first 2 or 3 days here on Futurecast, and I'll break down some of the parameters we are looking at on the severity of it as we get a more unstable setup. So this afternoon, cloud cover looks to increase. These look to be high-level clouds. I still think we'll have a mainly sunny day all day long. Warm front will approach that point. Now, for a while, we were seeing hints, and we could see some showers develop along this warm front. But the way things are trending with our dew point and everything, it's iffy that we'll get anything to develop. Can't rule it out, so we'll keep a 10% chance just in case, but it doesn't look overly impressive. Now, tonight, as we begin to build in that moisture into the area with that warm front, then we'll run a risk for a few little downpours to begin to pop on the radar, especially as we add some ingredients to the atmosphere, which one of those being the wind. A decent amount of wind energy will get involved with that warm front, mainly at an angle. And that's the thing. The next really couple of days, anything that develops is going to be at an angle. It's going to be basically from around Seymour, perhaps even Bedford, Indiana, southeast into Clark County, perhaps Louisville, and then southeast all the way into about Marion County into Danville. That is the zone, and then northeast of that, all the way towards Cincinnati. That is the area where the warm front will have its most influence when it comes to develop showers and thunderstorms. If you are south and west of that line, chances are you may, some of you will remain rain-free until about Wednesday, if not longer. So not everybody's going to get the rain out of this. So it's kind of our view area split overall in halves here as we head through the next few days when it comes to rain chances and temperatures. The soundings overnight do indicate at least low freezing levels and a bit of shear, 52 knots. That's decent enough. 40 is the benchmark that I look at. So yeah, there could be some gusty thunderstorms and perhaps some small hail, but the severe risk is not overly high for the what looks to be an overnight deal toward early on Tuesday. Tuesday itself, we'll start off with a warm front around. it's not going to move a whole lot. It's pretty much going to stay stationary. So we're going to see that same angle. Now, the RPM, and even in some cases, even the NAMs hinted this, but the main zone for thunderstorm action would actually be even outside of Louisville, perhaps even towards Cincinnati. The placement of that front really is going to be key on that. What we will watch for, though, is while a lot of the activity will likely focus along the front, there could be one or two thunderstorms that develop. They could produce an outflow that may work their way more to the south into this zone that's relatively rain-free Tuesday afternoon. That possibility is there. That wouldn't surprise me. So we'll monitor that. And with enough wind energy around tomorrow afternoon for just about all of our area, it's right there on the fence. The soundings are coming back, at least in the NAM, for a severe potential. And it's mainly for damaging winds. And because we'll be relatively unstable, too. We'll have a little more moisture to work with, some sunshine mixed in. Temperatures will likely get into the lower 80s. So there's a possibility for a gusty thunderstorm to pass through your backyard. But again, coverage is not going to be overly widespread. But they have placed a lot of us in the marginal risk, the low wind scale, for severe weather, just in case. And we'll see adjustments to that, I'm sure. Wednesday, the warm front is at its angle, but there's a low pressure moving in at this point from the southern Rockies. It is going to connect, like a train wheel with the train cars, connect to it, and then it's going to eventually pull all this out of here. But as it connects, it will pull the warm front into a more east-west angle close to I-64. That'll be the zone then for Wednesday. So the question is, as it lines up with 64, how active will we be? Because if it's just north, I mean, only accounting north of what we have displayed here, easily into the low to mid-80s. If it's right on top of us, we might even hit 80 in Louisville. We may stay in 70. So we have a bust potential, by all means, in our temperature forecast for Wednesday. But typically these warm fronts usually go a little further north than what is indicated here until we get the low to pull them in. But it looks active at times. There's not a lot of wind energy, though, at that point, at least on some of the indications I'm getting from the GFS and the NAM. However, there is quite a bit of CAPE that tries to build up. So these look to be more downdraft kind of scenarios for showers and thunderstorms. We'll be monitoring that carefully. At the moment, we're under a marginal risk for all of our counties for Wednesday as that front tilts more in an east-west fashion. Thursday, we'll play this out. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail yet. We're not outlooked for severe weather on Thursday yet. The NAM is aggressive with a pocket of wind energy moving through and some instability, in fact, a decent amount of wind shear. The GFS, much calmer, more showery look to it than that. So big, stark differences there on Thursday. We'll work out. For Mother's Day itself, we're going to have this low pull out of here. So rain is going to be likely, certainly Thursday into Friday, as the low scoots to the south and heads up the East Coast. But we'll be on the cooler side of that on Saturday, so a bit beautiful. The question is, there's a secondary front that's going to try to drop down for Mother's Day. GFS wants to drop it in here enough to keep us in the 60s for Mother's Day. Very little, if any, rain. I doubt any rain. In fact, it looks really dry. The Euro is more aggressive with it not even getting here. We warm up. We begin the warming process for Mother's Day. The ensembles, though, do at least agree on the cooler side versus what the operational Euro has. So we're not going to go as warm as the Euro is at least hinting right now, but I think 70s as we'll pull out this cool air. We'll keep an eye on that trend with the GFS and see if we get a secondary front that may work its way in. But again, I doubt we'll have much rain with it. It'll be just more of a temperature issue, 60s versus 70s kind of a deal for Mother's Day. Not a big deal. Overall, looks nice. So we got some challenges ahead for us this week. We had a lot of challenges the past couple of weeks for Derby events. This week, we have some challenges with this warm front because, again, bust potential is there on temperatures because some of you will likely be in the 60s if you're along and north of the front, and if you're south of the front, you'll be in the 80s, and that's a huge difference. And our counties may be split on that. And we have 29 counties, 29 of you to keep an eye on. Stay tuned for updates.